Weird News Weekly with Ben and Reid.
It is that time once again, episode 3 of Weird News Weekly with Ben and Reid, of course. My name is Ben Rogers. This other guy with me right here, his name is Reid Marnie. How's it going, Reid?
Ben, I'm really well, and it looks like we actually have some good news. Last week, we didn't have a Prime Minister. Today,
Yeah.
we have a Prime Minister.
It's the same guy that it was before. So it's kind of an anticlimax that we've waited this long, really, to find out. Yeah, it's the same guy.
It's anticlimactic because it's politics anyway, so we're not really cared, nonetheless.
Yeah, exactly. But nonetheless, we continue on with our lives as they were before, and we move on to the things that are coming up next. But it's been a big week as far as weird news is concerned. And I think one of the biggest things that's hit our shores this week is Tom Hiddleston, Taylor Swift, in the country. Everyone's going nuts about it. The funny thing is, though, everyone's going nuts about Taylor Swift. Barely anyone's mentioned Tom Hiddleston, and they're actually here for something that he's doing. Not for her at all.
I know.
So yeah, and they actually have a couple name now. We'll give you more details about that soon. As well as that, this Pokemon game, this new Pokemon Go game, Reid, it's causing a bit of trouble for a police station up in Darwin.
Oh dear. It's been causing all kinds of headlines, this game.
Because obviously you have to go places to find your Pokemon, and obviously a lot of people have to go to this Darwin police station to find some Pokemon there, so they've had to take to social media. But more about that soon. As well as that, we have news about drones. What have drones been used for this week? You've got a story. I've got 2 stories about things that drones have been used for this week. And funnily enough, both of my stories come from French Canada.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
In the same country.
It's crazy. As well as that, though, I think my best story for this week is going to be the one that I'm going to save until my very last one. And it's a guy who has received a Facebook scamming message. One of those ones where it's just like some random girl pops up and she's like, "Hey, sexy, you looked really good, so I thought I'd say hi and see how you are." And then it kind of, carries on with the conversation. They try and scam you out of some money and all that kind of stuff. And the way that he has responded is absolutely hilarious. How about you, Reid? What do you got?
Well, I've got a story from Adelaide. There's a guy over there. He's known as the Phantom Parker. He drives a Lamborghini, and the way he parks his car is coming into a bit of question. And certain people want to know who this guy is. So we'll talk more about that as well. Also, there's a Kickstarter campaign to make an alarm clock that makes you coffee when you wake up. So instead of hitting the snooze alarm on your clock radio, it'll make a coffee. So talk more about that soon. Okay. Also, so this is something you normally talk about, and I feel like I've sort of stolen your thunder a little bit.
It's like when I steal your Tinder stories.
I know, I tell you what, I don't say it publicly, but I get furious when you do. No, the Oxford English Dictionary, they've added some new words, and one of them is an Australian term.
Okay.
So, who'd have thought?
Cool.
And finally, I've got another one here as well. That's right, my drone story. This is about Nivea. They've made a new ad, and it's been labelled one of the worst ads ever. And that's from an advertising guru. So surely the advertising gurus would know what a good ad is and what a bad ad isn't. And it's been labelled the worst ad ever. So we'll see what it is very shortly.
Okay, so follow along with the show, of course, at Twitter, Weird News Weekly on Twitter, also weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave your voicemails right there. We still haven't received any as of yet, but we're only the 3rd week in, so we're still hopeful that people are going to start sending their opinions on these stories, so you can do so right there or via the SpeakPipe app as well. And also, of course, where you can listen to the show, iTunes, Stitcher, Soundcloud, as well as that, watch us right here on YouTube if you're watching the video stream of this right now. And we're having a really good response still to all the YouTube stuff, and we're really happy with that. So keep the views coming in on YouTube if you're enjoying seeing our faces. And more about our weird news stories coming up for you right after this. See, Reid, that was that quick, the transition, and we're back with weird news already. It's amazing, isn't it?
Blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah, exactly. But we want to talk about this whole Taylor Swift and Tom Hiddleston thing right now. Of course, they are in the country here in Australia at the moment. They're up in Queensland on the Gold Coast. And the reason that they're here is because Tom Hiddleston is filming the next movie in the Thor franchise up at Warner Brothers Movie World.
They often film all those sort of big films up at the Gold Coast of all places.
Yeah. Because they did Pirates of the Caribbean up there recently, the latest one in that whole franchise, and Johnny Depp was here for ages. That was what caused the whole controversy with his dog. with his dogs and all that kind of stuff, and they had to apologise. It was all a big thing. So hopefully, Tom Hiddleston and Taylor Swift haven't done anything illegal with their...
I'm sure they're not.
Yeah, I don't think that they have. But there's this whole thing going on at the moment where they arrived in Sydney, I think it was on Thursday morning, something like that, and they've rocked up here in the country. And then as soon as they've walked down the actual corridor getting off the plane, everyone's like, oh my goodness, Taylor Swift's here. It's the most amazing, mind-blowing thing that I've ever seen in my life. Taylor Swift is in the country. Everyone's losing their minds. And you feel like Tom Hiddleston was just standing there going, guys, Hollywood actor, anyone? No? I'll just be over here then, no worries. And it just created a really kind of awkward situation for him. But obviously here for reasons for him to be doing stuff, yet Taylor Swift is getting all the attention. So I guess, in a way, that kind of makes it good for him because he can get on with his work and do what he needs to do.
Well, I reckon he's going to go massively under the radar because, to be quite frank, apart from Thor, I've got no idea what the guy's been in. I'm sure he's been in films and countless shows and all that, but I've got no idea what films he's been in. So, I can't say he's that much of a successful actor. Sorry, Tom, if you're listening.
I actually even had no idea that they were getting set to film the next Thor movie, and I was just like, okay, what are they actually doing here? Is this part of their publicity tour to prove that their relationship's actually real, or what is this? It's just a big whirlwind tour around the world going, hey guys, we're actually a couple now, we're going up to the Gold Coast for a holiday. But no, it was apparently for work. But the one thing that we did learn this week is that they now have a couple name, Reid.
Oh, of course they do. Every Hollywood couple has to have that name. So come on, let's hear it.
We've got the likes of Brangelina and all those ones in the past. That's one of the more terrible ones, I think. Brangelina for Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie.
Yeah, there's also that one with Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes, Tomcat.
Ah, yes, yeah. That's kind of a clever play on words, though. But
yeah,
this one's pretty boring. It's just Hiddle Swift.
Oh,
so basically, they've put the two names together and cut out a couple of letters here. They've actually done Tom another disservice here by cutting up his name and leaving Taylor Swift's name in full. So she's still getting all the top billing again.
Oh, poor Tom.
But if I had my 2 cents in this whole thing of like picking a couple's name for them, I would have actually gone down the line of Swiffleston. Because, you've got Taylor Swift, you've got Tom Hiddleston, so Swiffleston. Although there is a problem with that one because A, it would have, ruined people who have trouble with their S's, and also it would have made them sound like they were a household dusting appliance of some sort, so maybe that wouldn't have worked, I don't know.
I'm sure someone's cashing in on that name already, but I remember when these two got into the country, I think it was on Thursday morning, both their morning shows, Sunrise and Today, they were just covering the story. I mean, these are just, an actor and a singer both arriving in the country, and they both got reporters following them in there. It was very funny because one of the reporters who was covering the story is known for being a serious journalist. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, going from covering politics to covering Tay-Tay and Tom coming into the country, I reckon he must have done something wrong if he's been covering that story after covering politics.
I kind of feel sorry for the amount of times that these serious reporters actually had to utter the words Tay-Tay. It was ridiculous. No one would refer to her as Taylor Swift. They all said, oh yeah, our girl Tay-Tay's here in the country. She's getting off the plane right now with Tom Hiddleston. He got full name billing, but she was always Tay-Tay. It was ridiculous.
Well, I noticed on one of the news services, he was out for a run, and no one knew who he was. But this one keen-eyed journalist was just around the corner, and she had a camera crew with her, so they were actually just covering him as he was going for a run. They labelled it exclusive. We have the exclusive with Tom.
Whoa!
And it was just him after a run, just panting. Yeah, I'm glad to be here with Taylor. Yeah, good run. Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye. They labelled that an exclusive.
Wow.
That's not an exclusive.
No, barely.
I mean, the word exclusive is just used way too loosely nowadays, as far as I'm concerned. But there you go. That's what counts as an exclusive.
Now, there is rumours that this relationship actually started before Taylor actually broke things off with Calvin Harris. Because apparently Calvin Harris I haven't actually heard it or heard much about it, but apparently he's been working on a Taylor Swift Cheated On Me song.
Well, that would make sense because, I mean, really, all of her albums are just about, guys she dated and who did terrible things by breaking up with her.
Yeah.
And none of the guys that she's ever dated has actually done anything of the same nature. So if, Calvin Harris has done that, that's the first. So,
and it seemed very convenient that she was with Calvin Harris all of a sudden, and then it was like, nah, they're done. And I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks later, we learned that she was now with Tom Hiddleston. Yeah. And it seemed very kind of just like that. It was all sorted and they were together now.
That's how it works over in Hollywood. I mean, they're dating, they're themselves, and all of a sudden, a week later, they're dating another celebrity. So, to us, that's a bit weird, but to them, I guess that's just, another day in Hollywood.
But if you want to give us your opinions on this story, we'd love to hear voicemails on this one over at the Tumblr account, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave your voicemails right there and check out the details on this story. Even tell us what you think their couple name should have been. It is Hiddle Swift. I was thinking Swiffleston would have been a good idea, but tell us what you think their couple name should have been. And also check out the details for this one on our Twitter as well, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, and get involved with the show. So, Reid, over in Adelaide, I believe it was you mentioned, there's a bit of a thing going on with a guy who's known as the Phantom Parker. What's got him being the Phantom Parker?
Yeah, there's an Instagram account called Shit Adelaide, and basically, I know, which makes sense.
That's so awesome.
Which, it's the best name I've ever heard for an Instagram
account. That's a story in itself right there.
I know. This is just an account where they basically just upload stuff that is just a bit, what? What? And it just follows weird and wacky stuff of Adelaide. And they've been following this guy now, and they've been getting a lot of these photos sent to the account of a guy, or not a guy, but they just assume it's a guy, who just parks his car in places you probably shouldn't park your car.
Right.
The car is a $500,000 Lamborghini. It's Lamborghini Hurricane is the name of the car. So it's one of these cars which is just, you see it and you just can't have a look at it. It's worth a lot of money. It's very cool. But the reason this has become a bit of a story is because the car has been seen parked in disabled spots. Now, we all know that you can't park in one of these spots without a disabled permit. And a keen-eyed observer noticed that, a Lamborghini's parked there, sure, but there was no permit. And that's a bit of a no-no. You can't really do that. Now, they're not saying for a second that, this guy might have a disabled permit, but he just doesn't have it displayed anywhere. So they've seen this car parked a few times, so they thought, that's a bit strange. But then they saw it parked elsewhere in a 15-minute zone across not one, but 2 parking bays.
Oh, wow.
So obviously he's a bit precious when it comes to people, coming into his car. He doesn't want the old door knock into his car. So he's very protective of his car. So they've been following this story for a little while now. And then a second Instagram account came onto the scene called Can't Park for Shit. And it's basically them just seeing people parking their cars in weird places, across disabled spots and all kinds of stuff. They've got it onto the story as well. So they've seen him parked in a few places that you really shouldn't. Well, then the local newspaper got on hold of it, and they did a bit of digging themselves.
Okay.
And this is where it comes into a bit of interesting question, because they believe they know who the car belongs to.
Right.
The guy that the name of the guy they believe is parked is his name escapes me, but the reason that this is a bit of a story is because he is believed to be the partner of a girl called Kayla Sinnies. Now, to you and I, that name means absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
But to a lot of women, that name means a lot of things, because she is the owner of a bikini body empire. Now, she herself has 5.3 million followers on Instagram.
Okay.
She sells all this bikini stuff. She's a bit of a fitness guru herself, so she's often, seen getting very fit. Apparently, her and a partner own this fitness empire that sells bikinis and a bit of fitness stuff as well. So they're what you would deem a power couple. He owns his own business himself. The newspaper, they got hold of him.
Okay.
They asked him the question, is Pablo your car? He declined to answer. because the plate, I don't know if I mentioned this, but the registration plate has the word Pablo written on it.
Right.
So it's sort of this thing of who is Pablo? You know, they've referred to this story, the Instagram account referred to it as the life of Pablo because he's been seen parking in a few questionable places.
Yeah.
And the guy who they believe owns the car, there has been a few shots of a Lamborghini, but it's seen photographed from quite a distance away, so it's not one of those up-close shots, so you can't really tell in the photo if it's Pablo or not. But a lot of people have a bit of an understanding that, yes, Pablo is this car.
Yeah.
So that's what they do for fun over in Adelaide. They monitor a car of a Lamborghini that's seen parking in disabled spot. Now, the newspaper, just to be clear, they're not insinuating that he doesn't have a disabled spot, a permit. But whenever he's seen parked, there's never a disabled permit parked, seen on the car.
But you would have to think for someone who owns a Lamborghini, depending on what their disability actually is, it'd be pretty hard to get out of a Lamborghini or get into a Lamborghini because they're pretty low and awkward to get in and out of.
Oh, yeah, and some of them have those doors which open that way.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
As opposed to just opening sideways. They
So you have to kind of duck under the door and get into it.
Yeah. So I'm not sure if it appears to be this is the end of the story, but the Instagram account are not letting go of it. They want to know fully well who is Pablo. So they believe they know who the guy is, but he's not for a second saying it's his or not. So interesting story, but because I must admit I've got a bit of a fascination with these Instagram accounts that follow people who cannot park their car correctly.
Yeah.
And it is also my greatest fear of ending up on one of those Instagram accounts. If people ever see my car parked horribly, it'll be on there. So I like to think I'm a vigilant parker when it comes to these things, but Pablo certainly is not.
So what was the social media account called? Shit Adelaide.
Yeah, they're the one that have been following the story from the get-go.
Yeah.
And a second Instagram account, because they only do parking photos, can't park for shit. Now, they only they sort of focus solely on Adelaide.
Yep.
So both these accounts have been coming from Adelaide, and they believe it is the guy that is owner of the Lamborghini is Kayla Itsines.
Yep.
So to you and I, that means absolutely nothing, that name, but to a lot of women everywhere, they'll be screaming at the YouTube right now saying, we know who he is! We know who she is!
Yeah.
We don't! What clowns are you? So yes, she has 5 million Instagram followers.
Wow.
So it appears this story is just not going away anytime soon, but they're not letting go of it. And if you ever see Pablo, let us know, because I'd like to ask him, is it your car?
I guess the only real kind of similarity that we have to this as far as those social media accounts is concerned, I think there's a Facebook one called WTF Geelong. And there's all like weird and wonderful stuff posted on there on Facebook. It's like people just posting photos of things that they've seen around Geelong. There's this one guy who has like this whole trailer. Like, I'm guessing that he's a homeless man. He carries around this trailer of like just milk crates that are all attached to each other, and they've all got wheels on them somehow, and he's just pulling them all along with a rope over his shoulder, and they've all got something different in them, and he like carries them around with him and takes them somewhere, but he has his whole life like stacked in milk crates that have got wheels on the bottom of them. So it's kind of weird.
The only sort of social media account I know of on Facebook, anyway, at least for Geelong, is one called Keep It Real Geelong.
Oh, yeah.
And it's had a few name changes over the years, but it's now known as Keep It Real Geelong, and they basically upload stuff that is deemed a bit, what the? There was this one guy who was in his car the other day, driving down one of the highways, and he has a mattress on top of his car.
Yeah.
And he didn't have anything keeping the mattress on top of the car.
Had the old hands out the window?
One hand on the wheel and one hand on the roof, keeping the mattress down so it won't go fly away. Fantastic stuff.
I actually watched a video of some guys on YouTube the other day. It was summer over in the US, obviously. So their dogs were struggling in the heat. So they were like, hey, we'll go to the toy store and we'll buy one of those little outdoor kiddie pools and fill it up for the dogs so they can kind of wade around in it and have a bit of fun in the water. So they've gone to wherever the toy store was. They've got this little kiddie pool and they've realised that it wasn't going to fit actually into the car. So they've put it on the top of the car. Again, no ropes or anything like that. Three of them actually in the car. 2 of them had to sit in the back seat, 1 in the front seat. He was holding his hand out while he was driving, just like holding on to the pool. The 2 guys in the back were both holding onto the pool as well. And they were just like, don't right too fast because it feels like it's going to take off. Because stupidly, they actually had the pool upside down, so it was collecting air up inside it, pushing against, and creating all this wind resistance. And like they did not think the whole time whilst they were driving home to, turn it over and hold it the other way.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And it wasn't like it was one of those ones where you couldn't hold onto it and you couldn't get a handful of anything because it was like soft edges and soft bottom. So you would have been able to crumple your hands around it and grab a good hold of like the bunched up side of the pool. But they were just like, nah, we're going this way. We're holding it like this and it's just going to blow away if it does.
Sounds like that typical Australian attitude of, nah, she'll be right. Don't worry, I've got a firm grasp of it. She'll be right.
Hold her up there. She's all good, mate. She's all good.
Yeah, all good, mate.
But if you want to get more details on this story, at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Check out the story details right there and leave us a voicemail as well. Give us your opinions on the story and get involved with the show. Now, Reid, up in Darwin, a police station up there seems to be struggling a little bit since this whole Pokemon Go game has been released. Have you heard much about this game at all yet?
I have. I've actually got the game on my phone, and I've played a little bit of it, but certainly not a lot of it.
Yeah, because obviously for the people who don't know, it's a GPS related game, so you actually have to go out into your neighborhood and other areas around your city and whatever, and find all the Pokeballs wherever they are at these so-called Pokestops, and, find the Pokemon and build up your collection of Pokemon from, traveling around your town or your local immediate area. And this is causing trouble for this police station in Darwin in the Northern Territory because one of the Pokestops actually comes up right where this police station is. So when they're there, like just, going about their daily work as a police officer, sitting there inside the station waiting for call-outs and stuff like that, the sliding doors will open, someone will walk in looking at their phone and then just go, yep, cool, got the Pokemon, and then just turn around and walk straight back out. And they're just like, what is going on here? So they've realised that it was this Pokemon Go game because they're just like, oh, what's this person doing? Hey, mate, can you stop for a second? What's actually going on here? Why are so many people walking in? And someone's filled them in as to what's actually going on and why they're getting so many people coming through the doors. And they were just like, okay, we need to stand out the front for a minute. And when someone else comes up, we need to see how close they can come to the building before it registers that they've got the Pokeball. And so they've actually got someone out the front of the building and they're just like, okay, keep walking closer to the station and let us know when it receives the information that you've received this Pokeball in your game. And so someone's walked up, they've got to like just outside the front door, it's registered on their game, yep, you've received the Pokeballs, here's the Pokemon that you've captured, blah blah blah. It's like, okay, so you don't have to come inside anymore, no worries, we'll let people know via Facebook. And they have done so. So what they've written here, they've said on their Facebook page, for those budding Pokemon trainers out there using Pokemon Go, whilst the Darwin police station may feature as a Pokestop, please be advised that you don't actually have to step inside in order to gain the Pokeballs. It's also a good idea to look up away from your phone and both ways before crossing the street. That Sandshrew isn't going anywhere fast. Stay safe and catch 'em all.
Oh my goodness.
Proving once again that our emergency services social media pages around the country are absolutely hilarious.
Oh, they are fantastic. If you ever want a good lol, go to your, Victoria Police Facebook page or Twitter account even. They've always got funny stuff, particularly the Queensland Police Service. They've always got some amusing factoid that they have, and it's always funny.
I can see this being like a massive Tumblr trend, though, like where people are just like, okay, I'm going to post photos, like screen grabs, of where I've actually received Pokeballs around random areas. Yep. Because already, like, photos have started popping up where people have found these Pokeballs at the Pokestops. They're just like, okay, I'm posting a photo of this because this is a bizarre spot that I found it. There was even one guy who was sitting there on the toilet. And he was just sitting there doing his business, number twos, whatever he had to do. And then all of a sudden he was just like, oh, there's a Pokeball next to my foot.
I saw something... Oh, the toilet of all places.
Yeah.
You've just actually sparked my memory because I remember I saw something on Facebook, I think, of about Pokeballs, about this game. I took a screenshot of it at the time because I thought, that's quite amusing. And I did. And it says here, this is a business who have got an image on their break room at work. And it reads, "We are paying you to work, not chase fictional video game characters with your cell phone all day. Save it for your break time or lunch. Otherwise, you'll have plenty of time unemployed to catch them all."
Oh, wow. It's a poker
because
threat.
that's obviously, yeah, because that's obviously the part of the theme song, to catch them all.
Yeah.
But it's sort of weird that in the year 2016, we are talking about Pokemon being the biggest craze of the year. I can remember back in primary school days, I had this little Pokemon game. It was like this little Pikachu game where you had to shake it all the time to increase your life of Pikachu. So back in primary school days, I had a Pikachu Pokemon game, and here we are in 2016 talking about Pokemon being the biggest craze of the year. It's bizarre.
When I was in grade 6 going into year 7 when the whole Pokemon trend started to really catch on here in Australia. And I remember being in year 7 and just like, okay, where are those guys going at lunchtime? Because they just disappear back into the school buildings where you weren't actually allowed to be at the time. But they were going into one of the buildings and into one of the classrooms and doing this activity that they were doing. And I was just like, what? Why do those guys get to go inside all the time? This is really weird. And so I asked them what was going on. And they'd actually booked a room with a teacher present to supervise them so they could sit there and play the Pokemon card game all throughout lunchtime.
Oh, gee whiz. Wow. And that was back in primary school / high school days.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's sort of weird to think that, it's... Because Pokemon's never... It's sort of had many forms of popularity over the years. But I think this is possibly the biggest because, everyone's got iPhones with apps nowadays.
Yeah.
I must admit, I've actually have seen a few people who have been just looking at their phones whilst playing the game. So it's obviously taking off Pokemon Go. Because you and I, over the last year or so, we've always been talking about people who text whilst walking as being the most annoying form of thing you can do when you're on your phone. But obviously not. No, this is taking over as a 21st century thing to do with your phone, is to look at Pokemon whilst you're walking. So
I really want to just be out somewhere like Market Square or Westfield or something like that, just walking through, like headed to JB Hi-Fi or something, and then you just hear someone go, "Found a Charizard! Yeah!" It'd be so good.
I would pay to see that.
Yeah. But we'd love to know, where are the bizarre places that you've been finding these Pokeballs so far? Obviously, this Northern Territory Police Station in Darwin is having trouble with people walking into their business all the time trying to receive the Pokeballs at the Pokestop. Where are some of the other places that you've had to go to get more Pokemon in your catch-em-all collection? We'd love to hear your voicemails or just your thoughts on this whole thing. Weird News Weekly at Twitter and also weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave your voicemails right there and get the full details on this story, and please get involved with the show. Now, I'd just like to notify people in between transitions, Reid has been taking off his glasses and putting his glasses back on again. Even though he does look a little bit different without his glasses on, I promise it is the same person if you're watching the video stream right now. See, look,
there we go.
Transition right there, glasses
person.
off, and if he puts them back on, bam, same person.
Same person.
But
Sorry,
Reid,
folks, same person.
we're talking about this alarm clock that makes you a coffee?
Yeah, a guy by the name of Josh Renouf has a Kickstarter campaign to create a coffee alarm clock. Mm-hmm. He had a few times where he woke up every morning and just hated the noise of his alarm clock. Yeah. So he thought, surely there's a better way to wake up. And of course, what's usually the first drink you have when you wake up? It's not water, it's coffee.
Yeah.
So he thought, why not make an alarm clock with coffee?
Okay.
So instead of hitting the snooze alarm on your clock radio... Gee, there's a phrase I haven't heard in a long time, clock radio. He created something called the Barasua. Now, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly or not. I'm sure there's a reasoning behind that name, but anyway, that's what
I'm thinking it might be something like Barasua, because a coffee maker is a barista, and if he is a connoisseur of coffee, then maybe it's a Barasua. Maybe that's what it's all about.
Possibly. Now, the big question is how this all works, and I must admit I had no idea until because I heard about. I thought, how could that work? I mean, coffee and alarm clock, it's weird. But how it works is, according to this story, it claims to be there's something called an induction hob on the alarm clock that boils water in a glass vessel and pushes it up through the coffee filter. Now, once it does that, it's a stainless steel filter. Apparently, it says here. So it's this. I'll show you the image as well. But there's like a little picture, an alarm clock. All right. On top of that, there's a little jug.
Right.
It's filled with water. Now, I don't know if I want to wake up and there's a jug of boiling water as I'm coming up next to me. it doesn't really seem like that's what I want to wake up to.
Yeah, because you don't want to be trying to snooze that and just hitting this jug of hot water and go, oh, what? Oh, why is?
Now, apparently, the jug is filled with cold water, so they're saying what you do is, because they thought about that themselves, and they thought, nah, you wake up, you press the button, and then it starts to boil the water. But regardless, you're next to water all night. I mean, I just... Anyway, so what happens is that happens on a little filter in a little jar of boiling water. It then trickles down, filters coffee, so it's not the best coffee they make, which is, if you know your coffee, filter coffee. It then has it's got a little tiny drawer where you can store your sugar, your sweetener, but it's also a bit modern because it has a USB port that connects to your phone.
Oh.
So you don't even have to have a separate phone charger to have for your phone. You can actually plug your phone into your coffee alarm clock.
Okay.
And then not only will it give you coffee, but it will charge your phone. So that's an interesting little observation. Apparently, according to the Kickstarter campaign message, it is dishwasher friendly and it's easy to clean. So good on them. Now, for those who don't drink coffee, they've thought of you as well. It comes with a leaf tea option.
Right.
So I'm sure that'll make a lot of people happy because, I mean, not everyone drinks coffee in the morning. People do actually drink tea. Don't know why. So the good news is for this little coffee alarm clock, they've reached the target and they are understood to be delivering this coffee alarm clock in June 2017. So I think that's an interesting way because I have had various alarms over the years because if you think about what you have as an alarm when you wake up, it's usually just your iPhone alarm.
Yeah,
it's just a noise in your iPhone that you've just chosen out of pure randomness. Thought, yep, that'll do. I do like the idea of this, but I don't like the idea of sitting next to an alarm clock filled with coffee and water all night.
Now, I'm not sure if you remember this, but back in our Wednesday Drive era of the show, we had an idea somewhat similar to this. It wasn't a morning alarm clock, but it was more of an idea of a smart kettle. Remember this one?
Yeah, I do.
Where it was just like, okay, you could be driving home after a big, long day, hard day's work, feeling all weary and tired and whatever, and you can go, okay, I'm 5 minutes away from home, let's send a push notification on my phone so my kettle starts boiling, so by the time I get home the kettle's boiled, I can just go, bam, coffee, done.
Beautiful.
And
why isn't that already in production?
I still don't think it's happened. So maybe we need to get on this and make $1 million.
Well, maybe. I mean, these Kickstarter campaigns start with the idea of something exactly like that, and they make heaps of money from it. So let's get on to that. But yeah,
either that or someone's going to steal our idea right now, listening to this, and make a heap of money. So it's copyright, people. Calm down. Just leave it alone.
Yeah,
we had the idea first.
Yeah, it was ours. Don't steal it. Don't be jerks. No, we'll have to. What do they do on that TV show Shark Tank? They patent it.
Yeah.
Which apparently means no one else can steal your idea. So let's get on to that. And a coffee alarm clock, I like the idea, but I think it needs a bit of work because, having a vessel of water that could boil at the press of a button. Yep. What if you just, the kind of guy that, moves around all in your sleep at night and you hit it by accident, starts boiling water? What if it was to, spill over you? You'd wake up with boiled water on your face.
And also, if you have a roommate that likes to play jokes on you, like that roommate isn't going to come into your room whilst you're fast asleep and just slowly put your hand over so it dips into the water, and then you might just maybe wet the bed.
Or maybe just replaces the coffee with something that isn't coffee.
Oh no, that would be bad.
No. Replaces your sugar with salt, which would be horrible.
Yeah, but if you'd like to get some info on this whole Kickstarter campaign and read about this alarm clock coffee maker, the Barasua, then head to @WeirdNewsWeekly on Twitter, also weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Leave us your voicemails right there, give us your opinions on the story and get involved with the show. So we have a lot of info about drones this week, Reid, and rather than do a heap of separate stories on these, we've decided just to put all our stories that we've found into one big segment right here. So these are the things that drones have been known to do throughout this week. First off, on my side of things, we have one guy from Magog, Quebec, Canada. I hope I'm saying that right. I doubt that I am. Magog is the place where this guy's from. Magog.
Sounds like some hideous Australian slang.
Yeah.
Magog.
But this French-Canadian guy has decided to use his drone this week to wax his leg hair.
Right, and how does that happen?
What he's done, he's got a wax strip, right? And he's attached it to his leg. I'm guessing he's got like a hole punch or something like that and punched a hole in one end of the wax strip and tied a bit of rope around, or tied a bit of string around the wax strip and then tied the other end of the string to his drone, flown the drone away, and then the wax strip's ripped off his leg and therefore waxed his leg.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, there's that one there, and there's a video coming up for you at the Twitter and Tumblr accounts soon, so you can check that one out there. As well as that, there is also a guy who has used his drone to barbecue a steak on a grill. Now, this guy's also over in French Canada, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So it's kind of weird that I found two people in French Canada that have both used their drones to do something weird like this week. But so yeah, this guy's basically put a meat hook through the steak and then attached that with like some fishing line, I guess, to the bottom of his drone, flown the steak over to the grill and just hovered the drone over the top of the grill whilst the steak cooks on one side. And then when it was ready on one side, he's risen the drone up again and then put it back down so it was flipped over and the steak started cooking on the other side. And once again, if you want to see a video of that one, there'll be a video coming up for you soon at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. How about yours, Reid? What have you got?
Well, this is a bit different. This is one that people have paid a lot of money for. Nivea, which is the company that makes sunscreen. They make all kinds of other stuff as well, all kinds of moisturizers and things of that nature. Well, they've created an advertising campaign to encourage children to wear more sunscreen, because apparently a lot of them don't wear sunscreen. Now, this is happening over in Germany. Now, I'm not sure what the sun's like over there, but apparently it must be quite bad if they're resorting to these measures. What they've done is they've got a seagull. Now, it's a seagull in the form of like a remote control. So they've got, when you have your remote control airplanes, they've sort of done it so that you have like a remote control and it works like that.
So it's basically a drone that looks like a seagull in the end.
A drone that looks like a seagull. Yep. Now, what happens in the ad is they're on the beach, mum is looking after little Johnny, and little Johnny doesn't want the sunscreen applied to his skin. So, little Johnny runs away, as I'm sure all children do. In the meantime, as soon as he runs away, you see this, seagull flying into the shot, and all of a sudden, the seagull poops sunscreen onto little Johnny.
Oh my goodness.
And do you know what little Johnny does? He rubs it all over his skin.
Because of course that would be what you would do if you think a bird's pooped on you. You'd rub it into your skin.
You would. But this is where it gets a little weird. Everyone's laughing about it.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Little Johnny is rubbing his skin. But in the ad as well, it goes for about a minute, this ad. All right? Now, I've seen it on YouTube many times because I just have to watch it to think, they've actually done this. This is an actual ad.
Yeah.
What you also see is two guys sitting on sand dunes close to where little Johnny's run off with binoculars.
Oh,
looking at little Johnny. They're looking at the seagull pooping on him.
Yeah.
To see who has. Now, apparently, what happened is it's to do with regards to UV lighting.
Okay.
To see who is at most risk of getting sunburnt. So they've picked out one child, and they've asked the seagull to zone in on the child and to poop on him. They refer to that as the hunt. Now, is that the most creepiest thing you've ever heard? Because the thing about it is the kids are there all laughing about it. Mum, she's having a ball. She's loving it. He's, finally, he's rubbing sunscreen all over his body. Oh, finally. They're all laughing about it. Meanwhile, advertising gurus over in Germany, guys who make ads for a living, have labelled it the most pathetic thing I have ever seen in my life. Now, when you see the ad, it's just ridiculous because I've never seen anything more ludicrous. Granted, they're trying to sell a product and make it a bit hip, have a seagull in the form of a drone, but this is just bizarre on so many levels. You've got two guys sitting on a sand dune looking at children with binoculars.
Yeah.
I mean, if you do that in Australia, you go to jail.
Exactly.
Over there, it's all laughed about. I mean, no. So it's bizarre.
I feel like this is one of those things, though, where, now it's going to become this thing that's almost the norm for kids who are seeing this ad and go, okay, obviously seagulls poop sunscreen onto you. So one of the kids that's seen that as a little kid grows up to be like a 23-year-old or something, having a day at the beach, actually gets pooped on for real by a seagull and starts rubbing it into his skin. All his friends are like, what are you doing? And he's like, dust is sunscreen, yeah? And he's like, no,
So much for the... It's sunscreen. It's not sunscreen. So much for the old adage that if a bird poops on you, it's good luck.
Yeah.
So, I mean, surely this is nothing but good luck if they're pooping sunscreen.
Now if a bird poops on you, it's sun smart.
I'll be looking forward to getting pooped on by a sun. No, don't do it. But it's just a bizarre ad. The fact that they're all laughing in the ad about getting pooped on by a bird, it doesn't happen in normal life, so why would it be happening in an ad? No.
Now, have we got the video to show of this one as well? Have you found this actual ad?
Mate, I've not only found this video, I've watched it a dozen times. It's just, it gets more ludicrous the more you watch it. So you have to watch it to really understand what's going on here. But the fact that there's two guys, I just can't get over the fact that there's two guys standing on sand dunes with binoculars looking at kids. Binoculars. Stalking kids, and they're all laughing about it.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't happen. No, it's not normal.
What's their excuse if they get caught? Oh, we're just bird watching. We're watching the seagull. We're watching it poop on children.
We're watching nature's majestic creature, the seagull.
One of the most common birds in the world.
Oh, is it common now? It's not common.
Does this common?
It's not common now. Oh, no, it's not common at all.
But if you want to see these videos associated with these things that drones have done this week, drones waxing a guy's leg over in Canada, drones also cooking a steak on a barbecue over in Canada, and this one over in Germany, Nivea having a seagull in a drone that is, pooping on children with sunscreen. Check out all those links waiting for you right now. weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. You can check out those ones right there, as well as leave us a voicemail and get involved with the show. And of course, more details as well for you on Twitter at Weird News Weekly. Hey Reid, this guy overseas has decided to mess with a scammer that he's come across on Facebook. You know those scammers that you get a message from and it's like some really pretty girl and she's like messaging you saying, hello beautiful, you looked really good to me, so I thought I'd say hi and thought we could get together sometime and all that kind of stuff. Have you seen those ones?
Oh, yeah, so I've had a few myself, and there's always a quick little telltale to see if they're fake or not. You've only got like one or two friends.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this guy, his name is Frank Fleming Jensen. He has received a message...
Hang on, quick tangent. What a great surname. What's
Frank
that?
Fleming Jensen.
Oh, that is fantastic.
Well,
continue, but that's great.
He's received a message from Sandra Jones, apparently. And the first message that she has sent him, this very pretty brunette lady, she has sent to him, hello, beautiful. Of course, couldn't even spell beautiful to start off with. Spelt Beautyfull.
Oh,
and so,
on,
yeah,
Sandra.
hello, beautiful, with a love heart. Now, Frank has thought to himself, okay, how can I respond to this in the most creative way possible? So he's thought to himself, rightio, a popular song out there at the moment is Adele's Hello. So what if I just keep responding back to this person with the lyrics of Adele's song Hello? So that's exactly what he did. And so Sandra has said to Frank, hello, beautiful. He has said, hello. She has said, I think you are a sexy man, love heart. And he has said, hello. She has then replied, hello. He replied, it's me. And then she's replied, yes, I know. And then the conversation continues with him saying, I was wondering if after all these years you would like to meet. And Sandra says, yes, of course, honey. I really want to meet you. Frank replies, to go over everything. She replies, yes, everything for you. So even just with the lyrics, he has got her absolutely hook, line and sinker right here.
Yeah.
As far as scamming her right back, when she's trying to scam him. And so he's continued on with the Adele lyrics here, saying, they say that time's supposed to heal ya, but I ain't done much healing. She says back, okay, honey, I can heal you if you want, but need money to come to heal you. Here's where the scam comes in. But Frank replies, hello? The conversation continues. Sandra says back, hello, baby. Frank says, can you hear me? ? Sandra says, I hear you loud and clear, baby, but you need to understand that I need you to help me with money for a ticket to heal you. As, you know, the Adele lyrics had said earlier. So it's good to see that Sandra's actually paying attention to the messages that Frank's sending here. Frank continues by saying, I'm in California dreaming about who we used to be. And then Sandra says, are you in California now? Not Denmark? Your profile says Danish. Frank replies, when we were younger and free, I've forgotten how it felt before the world fell at our feet. Sandra replies, yeah, it goes for like, the conversation went like up until after the first chorus at least.
Oh, wow.
So Sandra replies here, yes, baby, I know, but listen, you need to send money and I come and heal you, okay? And then Frank says, there's such a difference between us and a million miles. Sandra says back, it's no problem, honey. I come to you. Just need money for the plane ticket. No problem with the distance, love heart. Here's where the chorus kicks in. Frank Fleming Jensen says, hello from the other side. And Sandra says, hello again, baby. Hello, hello. So obviously starting to get a little bit frustrated. Frank says, I must have called 1,000 times, which is replied back to with question mark, question mark. Yes, question mark from Sandra. Frank then says, to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done, but when you call, you never seem to be home. Sandra then says, it's okay, honey. You can call me every time now, but maybe you mistake me for another woman. It's no problem. You just need to help me with an air ticket, then I come to you, okay? So still trying to scam her for the money to get his or her plane ticket and try and, scam you out of your money. And then Frank says again, hello from the other side. And then Sandra says, yes, hello, 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 hello. Frank says again, at least I can say that I've tried to tell you I'm sorry for breaking your heart. To which Sandra replies, it's okay, honey, I don't care. I only care for you and to help you and to heal you. Just send me money and everything will be all right, okay? Are you still there, baby? Hello? And then Frank says back, but it don't matter. It clearly doesn't tear you apart anymore. Sandra obviously doesn't get the whole word of tear and thinks that it's tears and says, no tears. I can come to you, honey. And then Frank says, hello. Sandra says, hello. Frank says, how are you? And Sandra says, I'm fine, baby, fine now, but you need to listen to me, okay? I send you information about how to send me money to my bank account, okay? Frank says, it's so typical of me to talk about myself. I'm sorry. And then Sandra says back, no, it's okay, honey, really, but please listen to me. I don't have much time now. So things are getting really serious as far as Sandra is concerned. Wants to wrap this whole thing up, scam the money, get this whole thing going right here. So Sandra says now, please, do you understand the importance of transferring money to me so I can visit you? Gigantic love heart to follow. And then Frank says, I hope that you're well. And Sandra replies, I feel fine, honey, just fine, but listen. And then Frank says, did you ever make it to that town where nothing ever happened? Sandra replies with 2 question marks. What town, baby? What are you talking about? And then we continue with Frank's next response. It's no secret that the both of us are running out of time. Sandra says, yes, we are running out of time, honey. Please understand that I need you to send money soon before time runs out. Frank replies, so hello from the other side. Sandra says, hello? Is this a joke? Am I a joke to you? Frank says, I must have called 1,000 times. Sandra says, are you making fun? Are you making fun? Frank says, to tell you I'm sorry for everything that I've done. And this is where Sandra loses it.
Ooh,
She's had enough of this whole situation. Ooh. She says, F you, a-hole. And then Frank says, but when I call, you never seem to be home. And Sandra says, F you, you son of a bee. And then Frank says, hello from the other side. And Sandra says, if I ever meet you, I will kill you and your family, you effing F.
Oh, Sandra.
Frank still tries to keep this going, though. Frank still tries to keep it all going. He says, again, at least I can say that I've tried. And then she says in return, you tried nothing. You are making a joke out of me, you idiot. Frank says back, to tell you I'm sorry for breaking your heart. Sandra says, F you and stop writing to me. Now, I smash your life. That's the best response ever. I smash your life. And then, yeah, Frank starts replying back still with more lyrics, but yeah, doesn't get any more responses from that point on.
I smashed you. Was it? I smashed your
I
life.
smashed your life.
Oh, let's make that part of the vernacular from now on.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
smashed your life.
Oh my goodness.
But, we're big fans of people using Adele for amusement. Of course, our favorite YouTube video of all time, the Indian guy saying hello.
Yeah.
I'm drowning under the water. We love that video. There's a fantastic someone has actually used those Adele lyrics in a YouTube video. I think the owner of the page is called the Unluckiest British Bloke Ever.
Yeah.
And he uses the Adele song to order pizza.
Oh, okay.
And it works out really fantastically. He's obviously got it, so he just clicks on this computer, he knows what he's going to say, and he predicts what they're going to say, and he says, where are you? I'm in California. And the joke goes on for about a minute or so, but it's fantastic. So good to see people are still using Adele lyrics. I wonder, though, if Adele likes that her song is being used for the amusement like this. I don't think she does. But we do. We love it.
Well, considering she doesn't even like people filming her when she's on stage, which is just one of those things that's normal these days, and she's not a big fan of that, she tells people to turn their cameras off.
Well, she must be in talks with Apple because, quick tangent, Apple have apparently devising something to do with their camera that if you are taking it at a concert, it'll disable your camera or something like that.
Yeah, they're calling it the iPhone kill switch. And what it is, it's infrared technology that is like encompassed in the building. That say you go to say you go to Rod Laver Arena or something like that for a concert. As soon as you walk in the door of Rod Laver Arena, your microphone and your camera on your iPhone will immediately stop functioning as per normal. But as soon as you walk back out the door, it'll start, working as it did previously. It's just this infrared signal that blocks the ability for your phone's camera and the microphone to work whilst you're there in the building. So you can't take any footage or get any audio of what's going on.
Geez, the fun police are at it again.
Yeah. I actually posted this on the Facebook page for the radio station that I work for the other day, and there was one guy who totally tried to tear me down something chronic, and he was like, oh, that's terrible. Apple would never waste money on that kind of stuff. Infrared technology is dead. It's never going to happen. Dead technologies. It's something that they couldn't possibly do anyway. The only way they could possibly do it is if it was a beam sending straight to you off the stage, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. Yep. If someone was standing in front of you, it even wouldn't work then, so it's dead. It would never happen. Case closed. And I was just like, whoa, dude, sorry. Do you work for Samsung or something? What?
People just get way too involved in stuff like that. So, gee whiz. But there you go. Interesting.
But if you want to check out this full conversation for yourself, it's quite hilarious just reading over it again. We'll post the links for you right now at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. You can read it once again right there and leave us your voicemails with your opinions on this story and get involved with the show. Now, Reid, this is a story that's back in our Wednesday drive times with the show. It's more likely one of the ones that I would have covered. I think I had this about 3 or 4 times in our series of Wednesday drive shows, but this time you've taken over the story. So it's concerning our new words added to the Oxford English Dictionary this time around.
Yeah, I feel like I'm really stealing a thunder with this story, but I'm going ahead with the story regardless.
Well, considering I stole your Tinder thunder a couple of times there, I think I deserve this one. You stealing my Oxford Dictionary thunder this time around.
I think we're about even, so it sort of evens out. But they have added some new words. They've added about 1,000 new words, which I think is a bit excessive.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they can add some new words, but 1,000. I mean, who's going to keep track of all that? They've actually got a list of every single word on their website that they've added. So if you want to go for word, have a look at their website. But I think 1,000 is a bit excessive. But nevertheless, they have got a few words that I came across that I thought, yep, I like that one. There's a word they've added called bothered. Now, not bothered, B-O-T-H-E-R-E-D. This is, I'm bothered. If you like Catherine Tate, you will absolutely understand what I love. My mother, massive fan of Catherine Tate. She will love the fact that bothered has been added to the Oxford English Dictionary.
Yep.
I'm bothered. I'm not bothered. So it's very commonplace over there in the UK, but bothered.
Yeah, it does sound like a very Cockney type thing.
I'm bothered. I'm not bothered. Why are you? I'm bothered. That's a terrible accent. I'm trying to make sure I can use that word.
It works.
It works?
Yeah, it works.
Good. And I'm glad that does. There is another word they've added. This one very common to the Australian vernacular.
Okay.
Budgie smugglers.
Oh, rightio.
they've added that word. Of course, we now obviously refer to it as being something that Tony Abbott, our former Prime Minister, would always wear on a weekend. But no, and funnily enough, if you actually look at this story online, that's the first image a lot of them are using to promote the story.
Oh, wow.
An image of Tony Abbott in Budgie Smugglers. A few others went with the Daniel Craig version because he wore Budgie Smugglers for a little while. There was an Australian website I came across. There was a guy who was voting last weekend in Budgie Smugglers up in Bondi. So he's there in the voting booth, just when he's Budgie Smugglers voting. I thought, how bloody Australian is that? That is fantastic.
That's crazy. So that word. Considering the contrast as well, because it was like freezing cold down here. So if we went if we went and voted with Budgie Smugglers on, we would literally be freezing our butt off. So.
Oh, we absolutely would.
Yeah.
And you only see Victorians in our Budgie Smugglers in December, January.
Yeah. Never
10 months of the year, during the year. As well as a few words, they've actually added a few acronyms as well. Now, they've included, one of them is ROFL, which is rolling on the floor laughing, which I got to remember the last time I was rolling on the floor laughing was when I saw the film Borat in cinema. And I was literally on the floor laughing with two of my good mates. We saw that film, and I've never laughed so hard. It was the scene where he was running around naked in the hotel at a conference he was attending. So
I'm glad you said Borat and not Bruno. If you had said Bruno, we would have been ending this show right now.
No. Borat was a great film when it was first around, but Other one, ICYMI. In case you missed it.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
That has been added, which up until about 6 months ago, I had no idea what that meant. I saw people on Twitter always use it, ICYMI. I thought, what is it? I just went on to Google, in case you missed it.
The one that I had no idea what it was SMH. It shakes my head, obviously.
I'm with you on that one as well. Yeah.
And I saw everyone posting it everywhere, and I was always like, what is SMH? Why is everyone typing SMH all the time? And I'm just like, well, now that I've found out what it is, it's really not all that impactful as far as, getting your message across to someone. You're just saying, oh, this isn't good.
It's sort of something your mother would say if you've done something bad to her.
Yeah. For anyone listening to the audio version of this show right now, not watching the YouTube version, we're just saying stuff and shaking our heads, basically. That's what the silence is there.
Basically, there was another acronym, not in this list, but I've just thought of. It was called HMU.
Okay.
Do you know that?
No.
Hit me up. Hit me up.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you're bored on a Saturday night and someone... Because I saw this on Instagram a few weeks ago. A girl had uploaded an image of herself in her bedroom, just, in clothing, as we all do, and she had... all the only thing she had on the caption on the photo was HMU.
Oh.
I thought... What is that? What's HMU? Turns out it's just hit me up. So
there you go.
I've never. By the way, I've never said the phrase "hit me up."
Yeah.
There's never been something I've said in my life.
No.
They've also added TBH, which means to be honest.
Yep.
They've also added FWIW for what it's worth.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So once again, I never had heard that phrase up until about 6 months ago. They've also added a few other phrases, including froyo, which is frozen yogurt.
Yep.
And they've also added... They must be watching Catherine Tate shows over there in the UK because they've added glamping, which is a form of camping that's a bit more luxurious than camping.
Yeah.
Because that's featured on her old sitcom, The Catherine Tate Show, glamping. So they're just some of the phrases and words that have been added to the dictionary. But as I said, they did add 1,000 words, which I must say I do find quite excessive, but they're the best ones I picked out from the list. And Budgie Smugglers. Who would have thought that'd be added to the Oxford English Dictionary of all things?
Have a look at this list right now, though. We'll post it for you on the social media accounts at Weird News Weekly on Twitter and weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Have a look at the list right there of the words that have been entered into the Oxford English Dictionary. See if there's any ones that you want to highlight for us in a voice message, and we'll play those ones on next week's show. Anything else you'd like to add as far as this story is concerned, please get in touch via Twitter at Weird News Weekly on Twitter, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. Reid, that is the show all said and done for another week. I feel like we had some very big content stories in that one, especially the conversation there between Frank Fleming and Sandra via Facebook, the whole scammer thing that was going on there.
Particularly that last phrase from Sandra, that really blew me by surprise.
I smash your life.
I smash your life. Gee whiz, that was particularly great. Look, I really enjoyed that show, to be quite frank. A lot of stuff I quite liked. I just want to quickly say, to those of you who are listening to us on iTunes, on podcasts, can you please leave us a rate and review? Because I must say, it takes me less than 10 seconds to do it on various other podcasts I do. Because if you do it, if you leave us a rate and review, not only will it boost Ben and I's ego, but it will also boost our presence on iTunes as well. So the more rate and reviews we get, the more iTunes will bump up our podcast and other people will get to sort of hear what we do. So please do that.
It helps us a lot more in being seen, of course, and gets more ears on the show. As well as that, also like us and subscribe to us on YouTube. That really helps as well with people, getting in contact with the show. Even share it around a little bit more with your friends if you want to share this via your social media, wherever it might be, Twitter, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. We would greatly appreciate that because it gets the show out to more people, and that's, of course, what we want. As well as that, your voicemails. We want to play your voice on this show, not just ours. We want to respond to, the things that you want to say about the stories that we're talking about. If you have any opinions whatsoever, get the SpeakPipe app on your smartphone or head to our Tumblr page, weirdnewsweekly.tumblr.com. A little widget on the side of the page. Just click that widget on your desktop. Make sure you have your microphone enabled and you can leave us a 90-second voicemail right there. We'll play it on the show next week and we'll answer back to whatever you had to say in your voicemail right there. And it's a good way for you to keep in touch with the show.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty much the show all said and done for this week. Reid is ready to sit back and relax on the couch. He's had to stop himself from going like this and just become a floating head. Let's see it. For those of you who are watching via the video link of it here, let's become the floating head, Reid.
Floating head, doctor. Hello. Hang on, I'll take off the headphones to make it really look like, ooh, hello, floating head, doctor.
There you go. It's an extra part for those of us who are watching the YouTube version of the show right there. But that pretty much wraps things up for this week. I've been Ben Rogers. That guy has been Reid Marnie. We will catch you next time. See you, bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to rate and review the show on iTunes and follow on Twitter and Tumblr for more details on the covered stories. Just search Weird News Weekly. You can also be part of the show and give us your opinions on a story by sending a voicemail via the SpeakPipe app or just click the voicemail link on the Tumblr page. Spoken by Sarah D and sped up like this because we like the way it sounds on the government ads.